He said she is into bestiality.
No.
I remember when you told me love like this, you never know.
Hello, welcome to Dear Diaries. My name is Rosa B. Theoc, and I am here with a dream that I had, which was really disturbing to me. So I had this dream maybe, I want to say, July, between the week of July 14th and July 17th. That week, within those days. And I mean, I know I give prophetic words that the Lord gives me, but maybe this has something to do with the fact that I do wife school. But what was really disturbing was in the dream, I saw I was not in the dream, so I was watching. So I was a watcher in the dream. I was seeing a scene where this man was with his mother and they were out. The imagery was dark. I could see enough to know that the man was white, his mom was white, and there was another woman and she was white. But it was super dark and a lot of silhouettes in this dream. And in the dream, the mother of the young man was kind of saw this beautiful woman. So she was kind of like, kind of talking to the woman in a way to make her notice her son. And the woman seemed uninterested. And the guy was kind of interested at first, but then there was something that he perceived about the woman where he knew something wasn't right. He said, you're those type. And so the mom, who's maybe of an older generation, that was the impression I was getting, didn't know what was going on out in the world. But he knew. He said, "Oh, you're those type." And he said, "Mom, it's okay. She doesn't need or want men at all." He said, "She is into bestiality." And then I saw it was as if God was giving me the imagery. And she had this look like, like, like he's right, that kind of look. And that's when God gave me this imagery of what goes on in her house. And so this woman, what she would do is train her cat, and she would put milk on her vagina, train the cat to lick her vagina. And so I got up from the dream and I was just disturbed by it, obviously for obvious reasons, but there was many things. It's not the first time I've heard of bestiality, but what really disturbed me is how so much, if you're looking around in the world, what's going on, the darkness, or I should say evil, is being more out in the open as if it's nothing. And what I was reminded of is you hear this saying where they talk about once you lie, then you steal, then you kill. And it's the same thing with what's going on in the society. There was a time where you didn't even see kissing on television. Then it became something you started to see. You didn't hear cuss words on television. Those, like, just certain things were not just easily out there for you to see. So then we started allowing a little more, a little more, a little more. And now we're at the place where drag queens are reading to little kids things that they should not be seeing at such young age. So now I'm is like God was giving me this interpretation of how bad it's gotten, where the man can already identify. It was not like men get rejected all the time. He was in the dream, he was a handsome man, she was a beautiful woman, but she was not interested, and he was already able to identify it. No, this was not just a thing where she's just not interested in me, she's not interested in men at all, and she's into animals. And and he said it almost as if it's a thing out there, but his mom was not aware, because she just wasn't aware. I don't know if it had to do with her generation. You know how as you get older, you forget, you don't know the new lingo, you don't know the new dances, you don't know the new dating scene, that type of thing. But he's in the world, so he knows what's out there, and he's like, "Oh, she's those type." And she didn't rebut it. She was just like, yeah. And so I was very disturbed by that fact that it was acceptable, it was known, it was it was just too out there. And then to see women, so I've already begun to see things where movements where women are saying they don't need men, they don't need men, they don't need men. We're taking, we're taking our authority, we're taking our leadership. That type of move, I can understand why you want it, because a lot of men abuse their power. But what you don't realize is how Satan is using those exact things to get you to a place where the things that you're desiring, and it's demonic, the things that you're desiring are of the devil. And and I asked the Lord, like, what is going on? And he's like, it's not that it's never been done. There's nothing new under the sun. But now Satan is becoming more out there. Darkness is coming into the light, and people are bold with their evil. And when I asked God, I've been mulling over this for a week now. Like, what do you want me to say? Do you want me to talk about this? Because there's a lot of things that God showed me, and I don't necessarily talk about it. I stay in my lane, speaking to women about wives and stuff like that. But it's like He's been reminding me of dreams that He showed me throughout the years, and I just sense that He wants me to start bringing them out and start talking about them. This one I just recently had, but I was super disturbed by it. And I asked God, well, what do you want to call me to call this? And what I got was, deliver us from evil. Deliver us from evil. A lot of women might not understand, like, this could never be me. But what you don't understand is, the more you allow Satan to keep putting hatred and displeasure in your heart for men, in your heart for godly things, not just men, first and foremost, godly things, things that God says are good and pure. The more you open up yourself to things that you would never do, and it starts by those despising the things of God. And as I said, you start asking for equality, you start asking for all these things, and you're just getting a little bit. And the more that we give, then you try to take the whole arm. And I'm not saying this is all women, obviously, but the feminist movement, all this stuff, this is where these things are the opening, these types of things. Because I'm not going to say it only started at the feminist movement. It started in your heart, when you started to despise the position of your husband, when you started to despise the position of your father, you started to despise the position of man, the position that God gave men. Now you begin to hate men, you despise them. You have this thought, oh, I can do this without a man, when God said it is good for a man and a woman to be one. And if you're starting to have these situations, don't even think about what I'm saying. Start speaking to God about it, asking God to clean up your heart, clean up the things that you are feeling towards men. I'm not saying that there hasn't been evil done by men. Yes, there have been evil done by men, but Satan is using the same evil, the same offense that you have, to bring you to a place that is an abomination to God. And so I had that dream. As I said, it's very disturbing. It's very disturbing for it already to be done, but then now to have it out there in the open, where now it's a thing that men can identify. He was able to discern she's not into men at all, not even into a woman, and that it was a thing. She didn't deny it. She had this smirk, like, yeah, you got it. And then God showed me the back and behind the scenes of what she does in her home. Is very disturbing. And the more you don't stand for what God stands for, what God says is good and pure, the more you will continue to start opening doors that you never thought would take you to a place like that. and it doesn't need to become a norm. And so, even to intercessors who are listening to this, these are the things we need to be praying about. These are the things that you need to know from God what is going on in the world. You don't need TV, you don't need news to know. God can tell you Himself, and we need to just be praying against the schemes and the plans and the plots of the enemy, because you don't know what is behind the enemy's plan. Now, look at the kids confused, cutting off limbs. That's because we allowed a door to be open. That's because we wasn't praying enough. That's because we didn't stand up for what's right or what's godly, because everyone's opinion on what's right is different. But what is godly is set in stone, and it's in the word of God. And so when we don't stand for what God said is good and be against what God said is bad, we end up with situations like this. Now, I haven't seen it. And maybe it's already going on in your city, but that is very disturbing. This is Dear Diaries, Rosa B. Theoc. Until next time.